Hey guys, Cadian Sergeant Steele here, and today I want to talk to you about the previewed Rough Riders. Alright guys, I gotta open up by being honest. This caught me out of left field because of one specific thing. I was not expecting the Attilan to come back into the Astra Militarum or the Imperial Guard range. So we knew we were getting Rough Riders, or at least we thought we would. I mean, maybe that teaser could have been, we saw this, the tip of the spear with the frag grenade on it, in one of those teaser images about 6 months ago or so. But when they showed that, I was thinking either Necromunda or just straight up Rough Riders, and maybe some rework to be like Cadian or Plastic Krieg versions and so forth, because you can still buy the Krieg cavalry unit. But here what we have is the Attilan. The last time that we saw the Rough Riders in a codex was the 6th edition codex, which lasted the Guard all the way through 7th edition. In 8th edition, the Attilan Rough Riders were axed, and we never saw them again. So this is the first time we've seen them since the relaunch and rework of Warhammer 40,000. So they are back, and I think this is interesting for a lot of reasons, and I want to get into that in just a moment. Let's go ahead and look at the model, right? We have this gorgeous model here, wonderful sculpt on the horse, great attention to detail, interest in how they decided to design the horse armor as well. Definitely some real-world kind of callbacks happening here. They did a great job on the reins and the halter and so forth for the horse. And just a really wonderful sculpt. Now, if you're not familiar with the Attilans, they're basically, an Asian-style cavalry force. And they even had a named character that was a sergeant that you could place into the unit. They didn't have a captain or anything in 5th edition, but they had a named sergeant that you could upgrade the unit with. And, they were just cavalry. They could take these hunting lances, which they have here. And they could also take plasma or melta-guns, or I think maybe one other special weapon in place of their lance, and they would just ride around and blast things. So now we have it back here, and we can see that we obviously have the hunting lance still. We can also see he's got a pistol holster here, lots of pouches, lots of ammo pouches, canteen, and so forth. So definitely some options, great options for modeling, great looks on the model. I don't know if I'm a fan personally of the helmets. I'm thinking about trying to do a swap with some harsh environment heads from the Kazarkin kit, perhaps, or maybe another kit to see what I think. But I'm going to play around with it and see what I can do with it. So here we got a nice side view photo of the model, and you can see similar shoulder pads to the current Cadian kit. You can see more detail of the helmet. It is a little bit ornate and it's nice. We can also see the melta tip here for the lance as well. And then we get a little teaser of the rules for that and what that might look like. So we're looking at, for the melta, strength +2, AP -4, flat 3 damage, which is nice. Or you have this frag tip, which you can get multiple hits on each time an attack is made, and you score a hit, it counts as 2 hits. So that can be nice too. It's depending on how many melee attacks this thing gets, which is interesting too. I wonder how that will work with the melta tip as well. Now, what isn't visible here, but was visible in the video is, let me go back right there. So this is some type of new weapon that was not in the 5th edition codex that they're doing. So it's obviously some type of powered laser electric goad, kind of like the Cult Mechanicus has. And so we don't have any teaser for those rules yet. But that appears to be the 3 primary weapons. We get that little goad there. We get the frag. And we got the melta spear. These models just look gorgeous. I think they can also take las guns as well, so they can ride around and harass your opponents. We've also got a little bit of a rules teaser here, and what they've talked about is that these will have the platoon keyword, which lets them receive orders from the Cadian Castellans and other officers, and the core keyword. So we know Rough Riders will be core and platoon. I think this is the first time we've really gotten kind of a hint of, or the second time we've gotten a good hint at what platoon is going to do. So this is very interesting that platoon will be a keyword that does impact how orders work and so forth for our regiments and our detachments. So I'm curious to see more on that and how that plays out. Oh yeah, and then right there's a sentence about them having a last gun when they're not shooting their explosive lances or hitting people with their explosive lances. They can fire those as well. So we'll get a little bit of shots out of them, and they'll ride around. It looks like there'll be a 5 model unit. Potentially, you can increase that up to 10 models the way you used to in 5th edition. Be able to ride around with these guys and really harass your opponents. I've always liked the functionality of this unit, being able to come in on the flanks and just threaten your opponent in ways that they were not expecting a guard army to be able to do, because most of the times we don't move quite that fast. We don't have units that do this that are not aircraft or some other type of specialty unit, right? They can hide behind terrain and move around things and poke at things pretty quickly. So I'll be curious to see what the rules for these are once it's all revealed. Now, let's talk about one more thing before I want to get to their last teaser here, and that is the fact that it is obvious that Games Workshop is bringing back multiple regiments. They really do want us to mix and match regiments. So now we have model support for Cadians, Catachan, Krieg, and Attilan. Literally nobody probably predicted that. I'm in a lot of circles of Imperial Guard players, and none of us were talking about the literal Attilans coming back. We were all talking about Rough Riders, and maybe they were Catachan Rough Riders, right? We were speculating existing regiments that are supported, and so now we have a regiment back. I don't want to give my hopes up too much, but maybe this means we'll get other regiment support as well. I don't know what that'll look like. I don't know what regiments those will be. Maybe there'll be new ones. They've done some books from the Black Library recently that highlight some regiments that are not any of the ones they've made models for. Or maybe they'll bring back Vestroyan or Valhallan or some of the other regiments as well. Who knows? Maybe we'll get Talarn back, which I think could be very exciting, especially for tank regiments. It'd be wonderful if we could have Talarn commanders in our tanks. But they're staying true to their word, and I think that's the important part here. We are seeing multiple regiment support, and they really do want us to mix and match regiments. They are serious about this. It's not just them saying that so you feel good about slapping all your models together. Like, they're going to place multiple regiments into your detachments. So I don't really know how that's going to work out in terms of rules, right? Because so far it looks like you build your own custom regiment, but we've also been hinted around there could be a Cadian keyword. And what does that do, right? Because we haven't seen a Cadian regimental trait yet, and none of the leaks have indicated a Cadian regimental trait, so we don't know what that's going to look like. But it raises a lot of question marks. I think they're good question marks, and I want to see how this plays out for us. So, last thing though, before we go, they mentioned that another reveal for our codex, and a big one, will be happening next week. So it doesn't sound like we'll get any more reveals this week. That's a little bit of a bummer. But by big one, I think they're meaning one of two things. Either we're going to see the rumored Lord Solar Macarius reincarnated, or we're finally going to see the Rogel Dorn. I think it's the latter. I think we're going to see Rogel Dorn. This is super exciting. I cannot wait to see what they're doing with this model. It's the maybe that leak I showed you all in the previous video is it, but it was too blurry and too beat up to really tell what was going on with that model. All right, guys, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of this surprise, the models, what you want to do kit bash wise. I think there's a lot of great potential here for these. And you know what? If we don't like them, the cool part is we can buy the Gene Stealer cult motorcycles or other kits and kit bash those out to be our Rough Riders for your regiment. That might be the way I go with my Cadians, maybe. I haven't decided yet, but that may be the way I go just to stay on my mechanized theme that I already have. But we'll see. These are very tempting. They're very pretty models, so I don't know if I can say no to this either. Alright guys, until next time, Cadia stands.